Hello, everyone, and welcome to YouTube Live. Today is Monday, May the 3rd. So happy that you could be here. My cat wanted to hang out with us, and she just had to be here right when we were starting. So she's all settled in now, and glad you're here checking us out. And we're on another Lightworker's Secret to Success. And one of the things that we all do here is we meditate, and we meditate like crazy. If you know anything about meditation, you would probably start meditating a lot more, especially when you know some of the benefits behind it. I know one of the things that if you're able to get into a really, really deep meditation, where you're able to get to the theta or delta waves in meditation, you can for every 20 minutes of that deep meditation is equivalent to 2 hours worth of regular sleep. So I've come up with some tips, but I'm going to start with the girls first, and then I'll go last with my tips. So Rebecca, you want to lead it off and tell us how you do your meditation?
I will do that. Yes, I have always been a meditator of sorts. When I was in my 20s, I was an avid yoga person, and I used to meditate a lot when I was doing yoga, but I didn't really have any specific meditation discipline. But then I got into scientific prayer, which is a form of meditation, and I learned how to go within to really make the connection to God so that I could work on transforming problems that came up in my body or situations that I wanted changed. And I found that very effective. And then in 2004, I trained to teach people a form of meditation called active meditation. And it uses creative visualization. But you do have to get down to that alpha level that you're talking about, Adam, in order to really meditate. Because the beta state of consciousness, which is what you use when you're functioning in the material world, is one way to use your brain, but it's useful to think and function in the 3D world. But if you want to change anything or find inner peace, you need to get down into the alpha, theta, and even delta levels of consciousness. And you do that by learning how to do it. Many times you need a teacher. That's why Maharishi Mahesh Yogi was very popular years ago with the mantra that he would give everyone. But that's passive meditation, which calms you down and taps you into your authentic self. But I like active meditation, where I get down into the alpha theta level of consciousness. And when you're there, if you need a healing, you can visualize the results you want. If you need to attract something into your life, you can visualize that thing as if you've already gotten it. Feel like you've already gotten it while you're meditating. Because when you're in your subjective consciousness, you can create with your imagination and visualization something as real as what you're seeing in the three-dimensional world. And when you really believe that you have it now, you're not waiting for it to come into your experience, but you have it right now, you own it, you can manifest. And that's the fun thing about meditation, is that there's always something to work on. Some of us are very good at healing. Some of us are very good at attracting money. Some of us are very good at relationships. We're usually not good at all of the same things at the same time. So there's always something to work on. But I have learned that through meditation, you can build up an escrow account too. So that if you're in a dicey situation, like a close call or an accident, or you really need some help, it'll be there, because you will automatically go into that state of consciousness where you know you're attuned and you can get the best possible outcome for whatever situation you're in when it needs a solution. But you have to also combine it, I believe, with some kind of spiritual teaching or philosophy that convinces you that there's always a solution. And that's a very handy thing to have in these times, because look at all the people that are walking around doom and gloom. I'm going to die. We're all going to die, or there is no solution. And they really believe that. That's called being trapped in the 3D world. You
Yep.
don't want to be there. But if you really learn to meditate and you take an interest in it, you don't have to be trapped in the three-dimensional world anymore. And it makes life a whole lot more interesting.
So how do you do active meditation? Like, what are some tips to do that?
Well, the best thing to do is, like I said, get a trainer. And I am planning to start teaching people again on Zoom, because I used to give live seminars, and I would use a meditation using the sound of my voice and the alpha sound, which you can actually get on the internet. If you go to YouTube and you just put in, alpha sound, it's a tapping sound that is 10 cycles per second. And it will entrain your brain to go down into a lower frequency. And there's even a theta sound, which goes deeper, 7 cycles per second. Now, the left side of the brain is what the masses of humanity operate with in their waking state, which is called beta, left brain thinking, linear, three-dimensional. The right side of the brain has been ignored, except by the people that are very creative, the mystics, the people who like to have inspiration, one of my favorite teachers, Jose Silva, said he figured out that only 10% of the population are natural right brain thinkers. The majority of people are left brain thinkers. And that's not where the good stuff is. If you really want to function like a fully realized human, you have to activate the right side of your brain. And then you're using your intuition. Like you might be lost when you're driving and you'll go, which way do I go? Your intuition knows. If you just relax and ask, which way should I go? You'll go the right way. Or you need to meet someone and they'll show up. Or, there's just so many things you can do when you activate the right side of your brain that make life a lot more interesting. It's really part of our superpowers that have been repressed. And you're going to see young people coming along that are very more tapped into the right side of the brain with a lot of intuition and knowing things that they really shouldn't know yet, because how do they figure that out, but Jose Silva could see that the next phase of human evolution had begun in the 1990s, and we are going to see more and more intuitive people being born. And even this kind of crazy masking and lockdown stuff is suppressing people in the 3D world. So people are going within to find answers, and it can be a bad trip or a good trip, depending on how well you get along with yourself. But it's forcing people to go within. And that's where it all is. The inner world is controlling the outer world of matter. And the great thinkers have all figured out matter isn't real. We live in a universe of mind. And the more we understand that, the more we can go within and create with our minds what we desire and wait for it to show up.
Cool. Exciting.
Yeah, it is cool stuff. I love studying it. I just wish there were more people to talk to about it, because you know what? 10% of the population is a lot of people, but not that many people are still that interested.
Mm-hmm.
But it's growing, they say. It's growing.
Yeah. It's getting there. Yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah.
Cool. And Pamela, how about you? What do you do for meditation?
It's like there was a time when I used to say that I had the hardest time meditating because I was under the belief that you had to totally quiet your mind and you couldn't have any distractions and you couldn't have anything going on. And so I didn't even try until someone told me, you meditate all the time, you just don't realize it. Because growing up, we did a lot of things, like we would do the medicine lodges, sweat lodges and things like that, or we do drum circles. And so you have the drum that comes in. So now when I meditate for myself, it's usually I'll have some kind of music going on in the background, and I really try to make sure I meditate first thing in the morning every day. If I'm not home, it's a little bit harder because I have my own routine. Right when you're at home, you have your own routine. But I have different music I listen to, and it usually is with the binaural beats. And I start with a question. So, is it something that I really want to know, or I really want to? I'm looking to manifest. My question is usually, what is it that I'm missing, or what am I not seeing, or what is it that I need to? Because I really feel like you get an answer if you just open the question. It may not come right then, but later on in the day or 2 days later, or whatever, if you ask a question, something's going to happen and give that answer to you if you're aware and engaged. But I don't time my meditations. It's really interesting because sometimes I've meditated for 3 minutes and sometimes I've meditated for an hour and a half. So it just kind of like when you get, and then the other time I meditate is before I go to bed at night. Those are the two times. But the one thing that I would really like to share with people is that there's some really, when you're wanting to meditate, the first thing to really look at is just to breathe naturally. If you really just focus on your breath and just let it breathe in and breathe out, that kind of helps settle your mind and get comfortable. Like some people say, well, you have to sit in, like the position with your legs crossed and your hand. If that doesn't work for you, then don't try to fix that, right? You find what's working for you, what's comfortable for you. Um, for some people, now I would suggest you not lay down to meditate because you're probably going to fall asleep. But if you just find a comfortable position, make sure your legs aren't crossed because a lot of people have a tendency they want to cross their legs because you just want to have that energy flow being open. So just letting that happen, and then just kind of pay attention to what's around you. I remember when we did the study, all the master key system together, and I had the opportunity to be out in nature and got out in the middle of a stream that was from a waterfall and just sat out there and meditated and just got surrounded by the sounds from the water and everything. And that was just so, it was uncomfortable where I was sitting at because there wasn't a lot of space. But after I let myself just get comfortable being uncomfortable, if that makes sense, and not focusing on that I was uncomfortable, and just let myself be in the space and just concentrate on my breathing and just the energy of the space. After a while, I didn't even realize that, you know, I wasn't in that. It wasn't like I wasn't focused on my legs were hurting or my back was hurting because I was just so in tuned to nature and the things, the energy and the noises that you pick up when you're out in nature. Because sometimes we miss that because we're so involved with all of this traffic and stereos and whatever, right? Um, and it was just really great. So I would encourage people, if you've never tried, just to go out in nature and sit quietly. Or some people, for me, I can't because I'm too busy watching other things, but some people can actually meditate while they're walking. If they're outside hiking or anything and walking, they're able to use that as a meditation. So I don't think there's a right way per se. I think it's whatever works for you, but be open to trying different things and you'll know when it's right for you because it just will resonate with you. And for me, when I'm right there, I can feel my body vibrate, and it's really interesting because sometimes there's been nights when I've been, sitting up in bed and my heart's asleep and he'll wake up because I'm vibrating so much. I've made the bed vibrate. And he's like, "What are you doing? You're vibrating." Like, "Oh, okay, you're fine. I'm good." So I think the more that you practice, the more comfortable you'll get with it. And again, I mean, there's all kinds of different apps out there that can help you meditate, but I think the biggest thing is just to get started. That's the first thing. You just do it. Set a time and just start it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like, there is no right way or wrong way. I've even meditated while I'm driving sometimes, if especially I'm in country roads, and I just get into this no music, no nothing, and I'm just kind of just cruising along, and I'm kind of looking where I'm going, but I'm just breathing really slowly. So yeah, I hear you. While you're walking or driving, I mean, it's also possible. I know when I used to get stuck in traffic jams, I'd watch everyone else freaking out and I'd just be in total meditation. I'd have meditation music on and I'd be like, what can you do anyways? Like, you're stuck in a traffic jam. Like, just might as well enjoy it instead of getting all angry about it and know that you're going to be late. You're going to get home when you get home regardless. So love those tips. Those are really, really good tips. For me, the binary beats for sure definitely works. A lot is on YouTube, so you can find a ton of stuff on YouTube. There's a really good one that I found really recently that brings you into a cycle pattern. It's an 8-hour cycle pattern of all the different levels that Rebecca, alpha, beta, delta, theta, all those levels, and it brings you in there. You know, when Pamela says she's vibrating, it's weird. It takes a long time to usually get to that kind of stage when you can get your cells vibrating in a certain way. It took me a really, really long time to get to that. There's also guided meditations, really good YouTube ones, where you can go on and you have headphones on and they play on different sides of your brain for different things. Yeah, like Pamela said too, if you're not comfortable with a cross-legged lotus position, then don't do it. And even if you fall asleep, it's not a bad thing when you fall asleep because your subconscious is still awake at that point, and it's very, very active even if you do fall asleep. So you're just kind of feeding it even more at that point. So those are some tips that, I wouldn't be concerned if you fall asleep and think that you're missing something. I think once you get a little bit more practice with it or experience with it, even if you lie down, you're not going to fall asleep. You're just going to learn how to control your breathing and control your body a little bit more. And learn to let go of things. So, a tip that I would recommend that you don't do is don't look at your calendar right before you go into meditation if it's first thing in the morning, because all you're going to be thinking about is everything that you need to do. I, like Pamela, I'll ask questions, or I'll also just leave it up for the universe and saying, show me what I need to see today. Show me what I need to know. And just allow it to sort of happen. And just know that, I had a thought when I started meditating that I had to think about nothing. And that's virtually impossible when you know that you have about 60 thoughts per second that go through your subconscious. So you can't think about nothing. So then I try to focus in on one thing. So Ho'oponopono is one thing that I use. And I'll just go through that and I'll just keep going through that over and over and over again. And just really getting into that vibration. After I'm done with that, I just kind of, just whatever comes up is what comes up. And, whatever makes you feel good, just keep doing that. Just keep finding things that make you feel good and be curious about it. Look to do some different things, try different things, try a whole bunch of different types of meditation. Even the Om meditation is really good because that's Earth's natural sound anyways. So when you connect with that, you're connecting with Gaia, you're connecting with source energy at that point. So yeah, just try to let yourself go and just allow. I think are the key things that I do when I'm meditating. And like Pamela, I don't time my meditations either. They can usually go from anywhere from half an hour at the least. I've gone 3 or 4 hours before I've woken up out of meditation, and it definitely didn't feel like 3 or 4 hours. So I just know that my body needed it, and that's all that I did. And that's all I got. So I'm hoping you guys like that. I'm hoping that you got some good tips out of that. Any final thoughts, Rebecca or Pamela?
One other technique that I love when I'm meditating is releasing. You know, like you guys know, I had a little accident this year and I had to go to the hospital. And when I was lying in my hospital bed, I just kept releasing any kind of fear around it or any kind of negative thoughts. And I just kept saying, I release, you know, everything. And I was trying to get to that place you're talking about where there were almost no thoughts. It was very relaxing. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the release technique, you get into that deep meditative state. I just release everything that, you know, could be bothering me and just live in the zone. It's nice. Yeah.
Cool. Pamela, anything last for you?
I would just, for anybody who deals with any kind of pain, meditation is amazing for pain management.
Hmm.
It just really helps you because you're lowering your breathing and you're lowering your stress levels, and it works wonders.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I hope this helped. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. And if you did, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate that. It helps us grow and it helps us know if we're on the right track or if we're off the right track. So, hope to see you soon. We'll be back next Monday and hopefully we can find someone to interview. If you want to be interviewed, just reach out to us and let us know and be happy to interview. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.